How are you feeling about this matchup in general? Because a lot of players have commented on Doc's almost like greediness in his list that is really going to help him out in this tournament.
Yeah, I think DocPwn, it's not just the fact that he's being underestimated. I don't think that's the case at all. He's come into the tournament with a fantastic lineup, and I think that's been a thread that's weaved through HCT this entire year. It's the great preparation and bringing the right lineup, making the right meta read, bringing the right tech cards to any given tournament can overcome a player with marginally better technical skill than you. You can just gain your percentages before you even start playing the game. I think that's something that Doc has very much done. He's brought a great lineup to this tournament, probably second only to the Scintillol and Frozen.
Sure. We are kicking it off with a Druid versus Druid mirror, and for what feels like the 100th time already in this tournament, we see Apaches in the hand and not coming shooting out of that cannon for JasonZhou. So does still have a Corridor Creeper and only one buff at the moment. You spoke to great length actually yesterday about how important the buffs are in this deck as opposed to minions, because guess what? Your deck's kind of full of minions.
Right.
You need the other stuff that makes the deck work.
Yeah, and your minions are actually very innocuous. Like if you want an easy comparison, like just go back to the traumatizing days of Ladder being 60% Shaman. They would play a bunch of 1/2s and you wouldn't care. The things you were scared of were the Flame Tongue Totem and the Bloodlust coming down, because otherwise you're just slapping your opponent with a wet noodle over and over again. It's just, you're not making any progress. That's what Mark of the Lotus, Power of the Wild, Mark of Yasharaj are to this deck.
Yeah, and the evolution of the deck after the Innovate nerf especially means that Innovate Vicious Fledgling just doesn't happen anymore. Right. It doesn't exist, it's not in the deck. Right. So you don't have that at least chance at one big powerhouse early play, and then you ride off the rest of the game off the back of that Fledgling. DocPwn on the Jade Druid, of course, slightly greediless with the Jade Spirit as opposed to the crazy potential armor gain we've seen from the other some of the other Jade Druids going on here.
So DocPwn both with a straightforward and an incredibly complex route to get here. Straightforward because he went straight through winners with a 3-2 and 3-0 record. Complex because he had to beat Hoy and Tom60229 to do it, who are two incredible names. Jason, on the other hand, more of a mixed bag. Picked up victory over Muzzy in the run back after losing to him originally, and eliminated Kalento on the way.
Yeah, great runs for all these players, as is going to happen when the tournament is this stacked. Looking at the hands though, JasonZhou, kind of highlighting your own point here in terms of just not missing buffs. It's like, all these minions are only cheap and only small because you can buff them up. That's the only reason they're any good.
Particularly in this matchup, Druid is the best class of the game, or when it's coming up against Aggro Druid, at punishing small, wide minions being on the board, because you just walk so hard into spreading play. We saw in the previous series, 2 spreading plagues come down, but it was on 3 minions that had been hit by 3 buffs, I believe, at the time. So they were 5 and 4 power by the time the spreading plague comes down. That's the situation you want to engineer as the Aggro Druid player, but to do that, you need the buffs in your opening hand.
Yeah, and these are all things that are going to help Doc take a win potentially over here. And we talked a lot about his lineup, but you can hear from him how he got here as well, because he has practiced more for this tournament than any others.
So I prepare for Worlds by putting a lot more hours than I usually do. So I've been practicing quite a lot. It felt really good after putting all these hours. I feel more confident about my plays and stuff. Maybe I should have put even more hours, but time, you only have 24 hours in a day, and at some point you gotta cut it out.
I imagine that point is after exactly 24 hours. Done. Go for the whole day and that's it.
Well, I mean, DocPwn has so many other obligations, though. That's what makes him
a busy guy.
Such an everyman in this tournament. He works a full-time job. He's in a relationship. He has all these things that take up his time outside of Hearthstone. He's not a 12-hour-a-day ladder grinder like someone like Scintillol, even though he professes to only play 2 hours a day. I don't believe it.
I'm pretty sure he's a liar.
Literally trolling.
Yeah, I win all those Open Cups in 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, I do believe it was. I only play 2 hours a day unless there's Open Cups, and then I play for much longer. So yeah, maybe that's more reasonable.
There's a kind of buff available for JasonZhou this turn in the form of Galaka and his own minion.
Right.
But still doesn't feel too great. And also, turn 4 Corridor Creep has 7 mana. It just doesn't look right. I thought this was a maximum 4 mana at this point.
Well, the silver lining to your Grey Cloud is that if your opening hand Corridor Creeper is still 7 mana, it means none of your minions have died yet. That's kind of a good thing.
There we go. The trade's making it happen for Jason to get the Corridor Creeper down low enough be able to drop it onto the board. And now, the board looks a little bit more threatening. DocPwn to actually be able to deal with here. So this Tyrant's just like almost mocking at this point. It's you got 4 mana spells, but do you have 5? The answer is no. Higher pickup that might come in handy next turn, but these are the turns that Doc just has to be defensive now. He has to just, I feel like, clear the board once, then your main fear is a living mana draw. But outside of that, as Druid, you can only keep on top of, oh no, Firefly, or oh no, even a Corridor Creeper, as long as you can get rid of the rest of the board.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, be defensive. He has to in this position, but there's so many ways to go about that. You can try to soften up the board so that swipe plus any top deck on the following turn, like a Spellstone or a second Wrath, would be a more effective clear. You can choose to just cycle your deck with branching paths, look for Spreading Plague. Like, is that the most defensive play you can make? There's this play that DocPwn made, which was removing as much power as he can and generating something to fight for board. Is that the most defensive play you could have made? Like, just simply saying, oh, he has to play defensive. I mean, there's so many options that he can do to go down that path. So,
Yeah, that's what I've got you for.
Option. I mean, I didn't pick one either. I just named them all. DocPwn's the one that picked a play.
That's why they're on that table and we're on this one.
Very true.
I will say as well, in generating the Jade, it ticks so many boxes. There's the ramp aspect, of course, more mana equals more things you can do. And also makes Aya even more powerful. And another way to be defensive is have better stuff than your opponent. So you just beat them up on your end instead. Or at least trade very well.
JasonZhou will probably be happy around about now for the first time in this matchup. He's just seen a 6-mana turn pass from his opponent with, oh sorry, it was then a 5-mana turn because Jade Blossom was cast, but he's seen a 5/5 stick to the board when up until now he's only had these small individual low attack minions in play. Now that he's consolidated a thick minion in play, he knows he's in business.
Great descriptor. You know what? Malfurion, a great pickup though. Probably the best this turn.
Yeah, Malfurion on 7. Checks out.
Yeah, you're still going to be a little bit worried because the taunts, for example, probably hit this Corridor Creeper, one of them, so then puts it to 4 so you can swipe. But you're still going to be at least prepared for a buff to come down, right? Because you can't just rely against aggro Jade that, oh, swipe will always get me there next turn. Because one single buff, which we've seen, what, 1 from?
We've seen one Mark of Yasharaj.
Yeah.
There's still both Lotus, both Power of the Wild,
yeah.
and a second Mark of Yasharaj left in the deck.
The odds are pretty reasonable here, but Malfurion just has to be the turn. As a single turn, it is extremely powerful. I've heard a lot of players say it's actually just the most overall powerful Death Knight in the game. This is just... I don't know whether you're just excited, you're trying to imitate like Am was this morning, the Hydra, soundbite when it gets played into the board. You're just excited.
That was roughly the noise that Overseas was making when he sees that
donut. Yeah, okay.
That's the kind of emotional relationship I have with Bittertide Hydra.
Don't really want to go deep into this conversation.
Okay, good call. It's a huge pickup though for Jason. Like, we were talking about buffs, but again, his choice to include these Hydras is something that I'm just such a huge fan of. I've been an advocate for the Hydra side of the Hydra versus Scalebane argument for a very long time. You can see why. It's just so very threatening in this position. Scalebane coming down here and landing on a small minion, well, great. I mean, swipe is a potential answer to then a large chunk of the buff. He can swipe a 5/5, hero power down the rest of the 5/5 body, or trade in with his Scarab, and the residual swipe damage may take care of where the rest of the buff went. Sometimes, I mean, specifically in a metagame where a lot of decks are cutting big single target removal. We're seeing Warlocks playing without Siphon Soul, for example. They're playing the Q block kind of build. Just having a huge, big, dumb pile of stats can just often get the job done in some positions.
Yeah, very, very awkward. And as you said, there's pretty much Warlock and Big Mage that's running direct. I suppose Valspine to a certain extent.
And even then, not all the Warlocks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not even all of them. And also Valspine requires a combo piece and needs to be on time. It's a lot of ifs when dealing with big minions at the moment. Imagine if Ragnaros was still in the game. Or still in standard, should I say. Ragnaros has left half.
Death is eternal. My turn is not.
Doc just gonna take the ramp here. does have the branching pass to be able to just draw 2 cards next turn if so desired, and can combo that with just playing Aya anyway. So this one turn actually opens up a lot of paths for him to take.
It was a very cute little play as well, isolating the now 8-7 into this 1-2, meaning Jason would have to draw Savage Roar for this to be able to connect to phase. Slightly unusual usage of the Nourish in the meantime, but he does have branching paths for draw if he needs to afterwards.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, I think Kibble and Dan mentioned it yesterday when they were talking about Aggro Druid, is that Aggro Druid used to have charge minions. And now, outside of patches, they just don't really exist anymore, right? You know, there's nothing like on demand you can do that often outside of exactly Savage Roar.
It's never played a great deal of charge minions though. Like we've seen Druid of the Claw in some lists, and I think Swipe is a card that like missing changes a lot of dynamics as well because.
Oh, Saber as well.
True.
Back in the day.
Yeah, way back. You're right. Going that far back, yeah, you are right. There was a lot more charge in the old like Fel Reaver deck, for example.
Yeah, but I think like just having access to potential, you know, any charge actually makes a huge difference. As you said, there's literally only Savage Roar that could have even done that, but then any other minion would have got it.
My thoughts are plagued.
Not probably considering the merits of shuffling Idol and then branching paths, but I imagine just Aya just feels too good this turn, especially because the Jades are a good size.
Yeah, 4-4 and 5-5 out of this Aya. It's kind of crazy. And I think this has been Doc's game plan for several turns now, is just stabilize the board, get in a position where I can play Aya. He got the Jade ramp done very early, so he's been in this position where he knows his Aya will be huge for several turns, and it's kind of just been waiting for this turn where he can get it down safely and seize this moment to capitalize now.
Yeah, and with Branching Paths as the leftover card in hand, all this does is open up options next turn.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, the board magically gets dealt with. He can, you know, double draw into, say, Spreading Plague, for example, or any more removal. He's even going to kill off the Hydra, use a lot of his health with that tanking, with the hero power, and just say, well, now you just have a 3-2. What is it? He's going to scratch this board. He's not even going to scratch Doc. Doc 1-0 up now versus JasonZhou. The people's champion is getting it done.
Doc, the man without a single scratch